Awesome. So, I mean, the first thing is Alex said you were, on the show that you were from Rochester. Admittedly, that was 8 years ago now. So, are you originally a Rochester native, or were you just there for school?
I was just there going to U of R and getting my PhD, and I actually moved back down to the South in March for the very beginning of COVID.
Gotcha. What was your time in Rochester like at U of R?
Well, I loved it. I actually probably never would have left Rochester if my family wasn't down here. Rochester's probably my favorite place in the world. I loved it totally. And U of R is great. I really liked going there. It felt like very fancy for me because I'm like the middle of nowhere in Louisiana.
What about Rochester do you love so much? Because it's not too often that we get people coming our way and saying that they love it. So what about it really enthralled you?
I love that it has all of the amenities and sort of cultural institutions of a bigger town, but it's small enough that you kind of everyone knows everybody and you don't get lost in the mix. And for me, I think it's a pretty big town. The town that I come from has about 15,000 people, so it's a big step up.
So what did you get your PhD in, by the way, when you were at you are?
I'm a historian,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got it in American history.
Wow, that's quite a career path for you going right now. It's like you're watching it happen or something.
No, it's really exciting, terrifying.
It can be both. Um, so, I mean, what inspired you to go on Jeopardy in the first place?
When I was 7 years old, my uncle bought a copy of Bo Knows Bo because he loved college football. And he had taken about 3 weeks to try and read it. And I sat there and read it in one weekend. And that's the first time anybody ever told me, hey, you should go on Jeopardy. You're so smart. And so from then on, I always thought that that would be something that I wanted to do. And I just actually saw that the test was coming up one time, signed up for it, took it, and passed on my first try and got the audition. So I was one of the lucky ones. A lot of people, many of whom are smarter than me, have to take the test multiple times to get on the show. But for me, it just really worked out. It was a smooth path. I just sort of took it, got on. Well, took it, interviewed, and then got on.
Gotcha. How many games were you on total for?
One, I lost. But I have one of the highest losing scores in history. My final score is $34,600, but unfortunately, my rival had about $1,200 more at the end of Final Jeopardy.
Oh.
So,
well, here's a small consolation prize. You are, even though you may have lost, you might have been one of my favorite moments of Jeopardy ever.
well, thank you.
And here's why. Alex somehow gets through with a straight face the lady who is telling him essentially about the cult she's in for Agent Scully in X-Files, and he gets through it fine.
Saint Scully.
Yep, he's a pro,
I never
handles
heard
it
before that moment.
Yeah, totally. He handles it with the utmost grace you would expect. It's your turn. He comes out swinging. The first thing he does is give you the business for your Pygmy Goat. Walk me through that scenario. Did you know that was coming? What on earth were you thinking?
Part of the audition process for Jeopardy is doing anecdotes. They not only want someone who can obviously get the questions right, but they want someone who can tell a little story on TV. Believe it or not, they actually pick the ones who are good at telling stories. And so you have to have 3 different anecdotes throughout the audition process. And the story of my little goat was one of them, but you don't know what's going to be picked because he has these little, when he's reading off of the cards, he has all 3 options on there. So he can just sort of pick any story he wants to and then ask you anything about it. So when he mentioned the goat, I was a little bit surprised. I had like a sentimental story in there about my grandfather and how much he loved Jeopardy. And then he brings up the goat and I'm like, okay, great. And I had told myself, I had watched an interview with Jon Stewart one time and he was like, all right, just for future guests, y'all are never supposed to try and be funny. I'm the funny one. You just, talk back. And I was going to do that. And then I saw the chance to make that joke, and I just had to do it. The timing was right. And so I called him insensitive for asking about how my goat died. And it was a little pause for me to be like, oh my gosh, is this going to go over? But then I saw that like the camera guy was shaking. He was laughing so hard, and Trebek wasn't talking. And I was like, okay, I think this is working.
It's just.
But in general, I would say don't try to be funny on Jeopardy, because we've seen how that usually goes.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so funny. Whew. Okay, so you barely got through it, but what was the what was the story of the Pygmy Goat? So we got the end of it, but kind of the beginning of it is a little, so how did this goat come into your life, and how does it feel that it's at the other end of a joke on Jeopardy?
Actually, it's been a really funny experience. I had the goat with my roommate at college, and when we both went to graduate school, the goat went to her parents' farm to live, and he was actually on that farm when he passed. He wasn't with either of us. And her dad was making a little cabin, and he just accidentally left the door open one day, just a crack. And Billy got in and ate concrete, which was not really supposed to be my story. My story was supposed to be about how I had this cute little goat, but it just turned into that because, one really notable thing about goats is they do eat a lot of stuff. So it's one of the most remarkable things about them. And so whenever he died, my roommate called me and she was so sad, but there was this weirdness to her. And I was like, well, what happened? And she goes, we ate concrete. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not funny. That's not funny. But I couldn't help. It was just such a strange situation. So yeah, he was a happy goat. He had a great life. He had a best friend, a mule named Janie. I mean, he was out there grazing and living his best life. But unfortunately, his rumbly tumbly got him into a little bit of trouble.
So for reference, how big is a Pygmy goat?
He was okay, when I got him, we brought him home in a cat carrier. That's how little he was. He was squeaky, so this big. You can use my head for reference. And then when he was bigger, not maybe the size of a small dog. So he's a really little guy. Actually, I can find a picture and send it to you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, he was a very cute little guy. He just here's what I tell people: don't mistake livestock animals for companion animals. It's just kind of a mistake that I made. But I had a great time with Billy. He was a great pet, and he actually had a really good life. It just was a little accident that happened at the end.
Whew, okay, so I don't want to just ask about Billy the goat. So how do you? So you're a historian. So you you come from a profession in which knowing facts very quickly at your disposal is part of the gig.
Right.
So
it really helped. I was studying for my so when you're get a PhD in history, one of the things that you have to do is you have to take a series of exams, including these 4-hour-long oral exams where professors can ask you any question about anything in American history, and you have to know the answer off the top of your head. And if there's anything better for training for Jeopardy than that, then I don't know what it is. So basically, I was being trained for it just by virtue of the fact that I was learning about this stuff all day, every day. And then whenever I got the audition and was told that I was going to be on it, I just got little kids flashcards of presidents or Shakespeare plays, because you don't want something super in depth. You want to just remember those. And so I would just study those that way. And it worked out. And if I had it to do again, which I wish I would, I don't know if they're going to have people back, but if they do, I'd love to go back on. Yeah, I would just say if anyone's thinking about taking the test or studying for the test, just watch Jeopardy, see what they talk about all the time, and quiz yourself on it. Take all of the practice exams you can, do Sporkle quizzes and stuff like that. And another thing I want to say, just to reiterate, is that most people don't get on their first audition. One of the most brilliant people in my audition group, who actually won a lot more money than me, had auditioned 5 times by the time he actually got on over the course of many years. So definitely, if you want to be on Jeopardy, it's really important to keep trying.
Awesome. So this is a question on everyone's mind. Your time there was brief but memorable. If you can, what was Alex really like?
He smelled nice, like not in an overt way, but just kind of like in a very like well-kept person. Like his skin was like Canadian pale, but it had a like vibrancy to it. He was taller than me, and I'm 5'11", so I was pretty impressed with that. And when he came up behind me to take a photo with me, he said that I livened the place up, and so I thought that was a really nice compliment. I think in general, he really loved the contestants, but you have to imagine, they're filming multiple shows a day when they do that. So I think that ultimately kind of most contestants just probably blurred together for him. So it wasn't really like meeting someone that you get to know. But of course, I was a huge fan, so it was really exciting. And he was really nice to me, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Awesome. Does he talk in his Jeopardy voice, in like his personal voice? Is that because like I obviously have a different news cadence, it's like still my voice, but I talk differently. Is like his Jeopardy voice also how he talks?
Yeah, it is. And like I feel like what I've got from it is that he's 100% himself on the show. Like he's exacting, but I think he's probably exacting in real life. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is that for many years, he took the test himself every single year just to prove that he was up with the contestants. He was a really smart guy. He knew when he would correct people's pronunciation, that came from him. It didn't come from the producers or whatever. He just was a very well-educated and knowledgeable guy. And so I think that was something that you really get coming through in the show. And so sometimes when people see my clip, they're like, "Oh, Alex, he's so rude." And I'm like, "No, he's not being rude. He was in on the gag. He was part of the joke. He's a great entertainer, and I think that it really comes across in the clip that he's a good sport."
Absolutely. Well, to me, that's actually why it's so funny, because it wouldn't be funny if he was actually a jerk. It's funny because all you're trying to do is tell a story about your goat, and you call him out for being insensitive, and he took it like a champ. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it's almost like we were doing a patter.
Right.
That
So
was really fun.
oh, so the guy, did you ever talk to him about, like, cause he was just skipped over. Like Alex just went like,
AJ ended up beating me, so I don't feel too bad for him. But he was a really nice guy, actually. I'm in contact with Tracy and AJ still. They're both really nice people. We're Facebook friends, and when you're on the show, it's so fast, and you spend most of the day just in the green room waiting to go on, and so you really bond with the people, and it was just really cool. The guy had, I think he was a student, and he had just won the game before. So at lunch, I was like, "What are you gonna do with money? You're rich now." And he's like, "I don't know." And that was kind of the vibe. So we were all kind of in it together for sure.
I have to ask, is Tracy still in the group?
I imagine that she must be. I don't think that being a priestess of the blessed whatever of Saint Scully is a short-term appointment. I think that seems like more of a long-term commitment. Awesome. But I'm not for sure.
Laura, it was an absolute pleasure to get to talk to you. We all need a laugh in this crazy world, and I'm very I can say that you livened my place up a bit too. Is there anything that I didn't ask about that you'd like to add?
Do what?
Is there anything?
Let me think. One thing that people ask me a lot about is what happens after the show, because they show you're standing there with Trebek, and this is actually when you get to talk to him. You only have those few minutes as the credits roll to actually chit chat, and we just chit chat about nothing. I think actually a piece of he had on, but he just stands there and just starts chatting. He just would come up and it's like you're his friend. That's why I think, sometimes he probably just thinks of the contestants as sort of undifferentiated mess, perhaps, for the most part. But the other really funny thing that happened was there was like a 95-year-old woman who had to get restrained security because she was trying to jump over the barrier to get at Trebek. These old ladies love Trebek. You would not believe. In the audience, it was like being at a Bieber concert. It was amazing.